In the quiet morning, before the sun climbs high, the forest awakens not with noise, but with balance. Every breath of wind, every drop of dew, every rustle beneath the soil moves in rhythm with something larger, something ancient. It is not just life, it is exchange, a sacred pattern of giving and taking that has guided the earth since the first seed met soil. No creature in the forest lives alone. No leaf grows without purpose. Every tree, every moss-covered stone, every blade of grass participates in the same unspoken agreement. Take only what you need and give back what you can. The trees stretch their branches to the sky, catching sunlight in their green hands. They turn that light into life, creating food not just for themselves, but for others. Their leaves feed caterpillars. Their fruits sustain birds. Their fallen trunks become shelter for mushrooms, home for insects, and food for the soil. Even in death, they do not stop giving. Beneath the ground, the roots whisper constantly. They trade sugar for minerals, nutrients for water, life for life. Fungi thread through the soil, forming vast networks that connect trees together. The old ones share with the young. The shaded ones receive from those in sunlight. It is not charity, it is balance. The forest knows that what it gives will someday return. When rain falls, the trees lift their leaves to drink, but they also slow the water's descent, letting it seep gently into the earth instead of washing away. The water nourishes the roots, then flows into streams, then rivers, then back to the sky. And when the sky grows heavy again, the cycle repeats. Giving, taking, returning. The balance is everywhere, even in the smallest places. The flowers open their delicate faces not for themselves, but for others. Bees come buzzing, drawn by color and scent. They drink nectar, but in doing so, they carry pollen. The flower gives sweetness. The bee gives life in return. Neither owes the other, and neither takes too much. That is a forest way. There was once a tall tree by the edge of a meadow that forgot this wisdom. It drank deeply from the soil and stretched higher each season, taking more sunlight, spreading its roots wide, pulling water greedily from the ground. For a while it seemed strong, its crown thick, its bark glossy, its branches wide. But its shadow grew so dense that no grass could grow beneath it. The smaller plants withered. The insects moved away. The soil dried and cracked. The great tree began to notice something strange. Its leaves turned dull. Its bark grew brittle. The soil that once fed it had become lifeless. In its hunger to take, it had robbed the earth of its strength. And without the small plants to shade the soil, without the insects to enrich it, without the cycle of life below, the tree began to starve. It had taken too much, and so it had nothing left to take. The wind, passing softly through the valley, whispered a quiet truth. Nothing in this forest lives alone. When you take without giving, you end the circle that sustains you. Slowly, as seasons change, the fallen leaves from distant trees drifted toward the bare patch of earth. Fungi began to grow on the old roots. Life returned, bit by bit, humbling the once great tree. Its roots learned to share again, and balance returned. Elsewhere, a different story unfolded. On a rocky hill, a vine wrapped itself around a dying tree stump. The stump no longer had leaves to catch light, but deep inside, its roots still drew water from the earth. The vine offered purpose again. It clothed the stump in green, letting it feel sunlight once more. The stump, in turn, shared its moisture through its decaying roots, keeping the vine alive through dry months. Together, they thrive where neither could alone. The forest never punishes or rewards. It simply balances. Every act of greed eventually empties. Every act of giving eventually replenishes. When the wind scatters seeds, most fall where they cannot grow, on stone and water, in darkness. Yet each seed that does take root pays the debt of those lost. It grows, it feeds, it shelters, it multiplies. Nothing is wasted. Even the fallen seed nourishes something. The balance of giving and taking is not perfect harmony at every moment. It is a dance. Some seasons, the forest takes more. Fires burn, rains flood, animals devour. Other seasons, it gives. Regrowth, fruit, calm, renewal. The beauty is not in constant peace, but in constant return. In the deep forest, the fungi know this best. They live on decay, turning death into nourishment. Without them, the forest would drown in its own remains. They take what others no longer need and transform it into food for the living. From rot, they create rebirth. A leaf that falls is not lost. It begins the next cycle. It feeds the soil, which feeds the roots, which feeds the trunk, which feeds the leaf again. Life owes its existence to this gentle rhythm of exchange. At the heart of this web stands a river. It takes from the mountain's melt and gives to the valley. It erodes one bank and builds another. It never hoards its water. It moves, it shares, it nourishes. When it floods, it may destroy for a time, but even that destruction leaves behind fertile soil ready for new growth. The river's lesson is eternal. What moves lives, what clings dries. The coral reefs beneath the ocean know this truth as well. Though far from the forest, they follow the same law. Tiny coral creatures build their stony homes by giving shelter to fish, who in turn bring nutrients. When the coral stops giving, it dies. When the fish stop returning, the coral fades. The ocean, like the forest, survives on reciprocity. Back in the forest, the seasons remind all who live there to keep the balance. In spring, abundance. In summer, flourishing. In autumn, surrender. In winter, rest. Each gives way to the next, so the cycle can continue. The great trees let go of their leaves each year, trusting that the earth will return what they've given. They never fear the letting go. They know it is not loss. It is renewal in disguise. Their fallen leaves become nourishment for their own roots, a perfect circle of generosity. Even the smallest moss knows to give. It holds moisture for others, softens the bark for seedlings to grow, cools the roots of larger trees. It takes light from the sun, but it gives shade to the soil. In the forest, even the humblest life contributes to the balance. There are moments when storms come and tear branches down, but those broken limbs fall to the ground and become part of the earth's blanket again. What was destroyed feeds what remains. Nothing is ever wasted, nothing truly gone. When dawn touches a canopy and light spills through, every shimmer of green you see exists because of what came before it. The fallen leaves, the rain that once was mist, the ashes of trees long gone. Every living thing stands on the gift of another, and perhaps the forest's most beautiful truth is this: it never measures its giving. The tree does not count the oxygen it releases. The flower does not keep track of how many bees it feeds. The soil does not demand thanks for the roots it holds. They give because that is how life continues. They take because that is how they can give again. In this endless exchange, there is peace. No fear of loss, no hunger for more. Just the quiet knowing that what leaves today will return tomorrow in another form. When night falls, the forest breathes deeply. The trees release oxygen, the fungi exhale carbon, and the air becomes a whispering circle of life. Above, the stars mirror the same pattern. giving light, receiving darkness, endlessly trading roles. Every pulse of life, from the smallest seed to the farthest star, obeys the same rhythm, giving and taking, never clinging, never emptying, just flow. In the heart of the forest, where no one sees, an old tree drops a seed. It doesn't know where it will land, whether it will grow, or whether it will be eaten, but it releases it anyway without hesitation. And perhaps years later, when that seed becomes a tree, it will drop its own, continuing the cycle. The giver becomes a taker. The taker becomes a giver. The balance continues. And so the forest endures, not through strength alone, not through competition, but through reciprocity. Every act of giving sustains another life. Every act of taking feeds a return. When you look at a forest from afar, it may seem like a collection of individuals, but look closer, and you'll see it's one great organism, breathing together, feeding itself, healing itself, teaching the universe the oldest truth of all: nothing exists for itself. Every leaf feeds a root. Every root feeds a leaf. Every end feeds a beginning. The forest thrives not because it takes more, not because it gives endlessly, but because it understands the balance between the two. And in that balance, it finds harmony, eternity, and peace. The earth hums softly beneath, the wind carries whispers above, and the forest sleeps content, complete in its perfect circle of life.